I was told by an international reputable bank that I cannot open bank account. I don't have time to manage actively a passive investment.
Hey guys, this is Adrian, your Warsaw real estate insider. Today I'm bringing you something special, spicy. This is an interview with Andras and Anna Maria Fakete, a couple, very hardworking and smart couple from Hungary who, well, they're global citizens, as they say. And yes, so we bought them a flat. We advised them, me and Jason. They came to us for some advisory, and we helped them get a good flat in Praga Północ. And already from the date, including all of our fees and notary fees and everything else, they have already gained in capital gains around 40 to 100,000 zloty, and this is 9 months ago when we purchased the flat for them. And the ROI, the net ROI after all costs, maintenance and everything else is around 4%. The net, and the gross is around, let's say, 7%. So yeah, we'll get into the inspection, get into the technical reports and the numbers, deeper dive, and let's say location, and I'll show you how the flat looked and looks later on in the video. I've edited some parts out for privacy, and I've also made it a bit more spicy with the editing. So stay tuned for everything and let's get to it. Just a little bit background on who are you guys, how come you moved out of Hungary, and then why real estate? I mean, you could be investing in anything, right? And as a family, because you guys have 2 children, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, many people want to be safe. Maybe they just put the money in the bank because something can happen, but you guys are optimizing in your own way. So what's the investment?
We are diversifying. So part of our portfolio is in real estate, but we also have money in fixed deposits now, because it's in Singapore, it's like 5% and it's risk-free. I don't think that's bad money. So part of it is still in safe deposit. We used to have fixed coupon notes too, which was a bit more risky, but also had a higher yield, about 8%, 10%. It depends on where you put your money. It's not a good investment right now. It was last year and the year before. So we are diversifying also geographically, and we have real estate in Asia too. We used to have in France, but that was not an investment. That was because we lived there and we didn't want to pay rent and throw out the money. So we stayed for 5 years. We calculated that it would be okay. Instead of throwing the money out of the window, it would be ours. And it actually, we sold that house and it was a good, it was okay.
It was an investment.
It was an investment, yeah, but it was different.
It was different.
It was different. It was not 100%, because we didn't buy a flat. So a flat would have been more rentable. We chose to buy a house for ourselves, to have bigger space for the kids, a garden. So in that sense, it was not purely investment decision. It, of course, part of it was.
Yeah.
But it was more complex.
And I'm thinking, yeah, I guess a house is not as rentable, but maybe the capital.
No, absolutely not.
Maybe the capital
exactly
would be higher.
Well, actually,
Yeah.
I think I recently learned something interesting about houses versus flats. So if you believe that in that market, the land price will appreciate more than let's say flat price, then if you buy a house, you are more exposed to the land price. So.
Yeah,
exactly. So, but also an apartment is more rentable in France, in cities in France. It's quite easy to rent out small apartments, small ones. But as it gets more expensive, the demand is just more narrow and narrow. And for houses, basically zero demand. I talked to agents, they didn't even wanted to take it. They didn't even want to advertise it as a rental. They said, no, it's not going to be rented out.
Or they said maybe if you rent it out for 10 people, but then they trash your flat, trash your house, right?
So
So we
from
didn't go for that.
so
Sorry?
effectively, you had some proceeds from selling the house in France, and then you were looking for a next place to deploy it, and
Yes,
you
exactly.
thought about a few different places. Like apart from Warsaw, did you consider different cities or different
Yeah.
countries too?
Because
Exactly.
because-
Maybe
yeah.
About Warsaw, when we started to look, we liked the market because the Polish economy is doing pretty well. It's doing better than Hungary in comparison. And also Hungary, we used Hungary as a base to compare to other options in Europe. And the other factor was the Ukraine situation, that a lot of Ukrainians ended up in Warsaw, which generates demand. And another thing which generated demand is the politics, that they started a similar program to what Hungary used to have, like giving incentives to families to buy, which also, I think in every case, drives up prices. So these were if I well remember, I don't know, did I leave something out? I think these were the main considerations that drew us to Warsaw, and I found Adrian's YouTube channel because obviously living in Singapore, we needed somebody on the ground, and we have no connections as we have never lived there. I mean, Andras spent some weeks in Warsaw with his job, but in hotels, so that's absolutely not the same. So we found Adrian's channel. I sent you maybe a Facebook Messenger message, something like that.
Yeah.
And this is how we started our
you were very
journey.
clear also on the message, like this is what we want. This is like
Yeah,
already from the start. I was surprised that you were so clear with what you
I
wanted.
just don't understand people who want to invest and then they basically lose time on things that are not necessary.
no, many of the people are not as well informed or researched. They
we did some research.
this is
to
what they
begin
are
with.
looking for. They are looking for someone knowledgeable to trust and find the best buy for them, which is okay.
Yeah.
When we were younger, we were in Hungary and just an average couple. Okay. Then I got a mission. We moved out of Hungary. We moved to Moscow, Russia. Okay. There, let's say our income moved from Hungarian income to international income. But that was only two of us. So what we have done, we were saving the money.
Yeah.
We didn't live a luxurious life. We didn't take all the income and travel and lived it up. We were saving as much as we could. It was 4 years. It was 4 years of really good savings. Then we went to France.
With a child.
With one child.
One child.
And we took our savings that we accumulated in 4 years, and it was enough for a down payment of a house. We calculated whether we want to keep renting or we want to buy, and the conclusion was it's better to buy, so we did. Then, after 5 years in France, we moved to Singapore, and we decided to sell the house because it's not possible to rent, as we discussed. So from the proceeds of the house, we thought about long and hard what to do with the cash coming out of the house. And we decided that we want to have a diversified investment portfolio. So part of it goes back to real estate, not for ourselves, but for investment purposes. And this is when we started to research, okay, if we want to buy real estate, where is it the best to buy today? And we were really researching for a long time. That's why Anna Maria was very prepared by the time she contacted Adrian. And so we could have a meaningful conversation because we were already pretty determined that we are looking at the Polish market. Although we had a very good discussion with Jason using his expertise and experience in other markets. And we did give a thought about those other markets.
as
Yeah.
well. Yeah. And
At
by
the
the way,
time-
just one.
That's a really good summary. And I'm curious how the Thai, because you also own a property in Thailand, if I remember correctly, or
Yeah.
did that was that part of something you brought after France?
Yes, this was our first property investment because it's a small amount,
It's
and
not a big amount.
and
I know.
we thought it as a good opportunity, and even if it doesn't make a lot of money, it's a good way to learn about property investment.
Mhm.
Especially, sorry for cutting you off, but not just property investment, but I think you have experience of property investment globally in a sort of in a remote way, right? And I think that might have made you more comfortable working with Adrian and I, because you've already brought this property in Thailand whilst not living in Thailand.
Yeah, that is.
And we are global citizen, so we know. I mean, our thinking is really global, and we know that you can get a lot of done remotely. We arranged our wedding fully remotely from Moscow,
Yeah.
a wedding in Hungary. So
Wow.
not a problem for us.
That's very, very, very cool, because my first flat, I was in Batumi, and I called and I had a guy go check it, send me the video, and I bought it like that. My first flat. My second flat in Tbilisi, I still haven't seen it in person, and it's been 2 years. I've been renting it. I swear, it's
What is
similar.
important for us? What is important to find an expert
Yeah.
that we really trust in. Okay, trust is essential. And that's why we were happy to work with you guys, because we have seen from the beginning how professional you are, and we really fully trusted you and listened to your recommendation, although we were free to make our own decision, which you respected, and that worked out just fine.
Adrian, you asked me what markets we were looking at the time, and one of the markets was Bulgaria.
Mhm.
And it was specifically Varna, the city of Varna. And the problem was that we couldn't find anybody there.
Oh.
This was one of the problems. The other problem was the Russian war, which we thought would be a big question mark in that market. So we didn't want to risk that market at the time. Now, looking back, it was a bad decision. But actually, even if we tried, we couldn't find anyone on the ground. And without somebody helping you, being there, doing all the stuff for you, it's just not possible.
It's much harder.
Did you look mainly on Google? Like, were your channels of searching mainly on Google and YouTube? Were those the two primary places?
Google, but statistics, mostly statistics.
And YouTube also, we have listened many real estate experts about the situations.
Yeah,
We did.
it did.
One little thing I want to just tell the future viewers is so many people I've heard, many people contact me via YouTube, Facebook, whatever, and this is something I have to answer a few times, or even bring it up just as an information. It's connected to when you bought a house in France. Yeah, this is the point. So keep that in mind. People tell me, "Oh, Adrian, I want to move to Warsaw, or I want to move to Poland, and I want to buy a house there." I'm like, yes, but what you need to first clarify the goal. Do you want it as an investment or as a place to live? Because I'm renting the place I live at, and I'm renting out the place I own, because many times it does not make sense to buy, especially when the prices are super high. Yeah. Or when the rent is like low compared to the price. So let's say if the house costs 100,000 and you're paying rent $500, that's like 5% return on that house's money. Yeah. If the rent is $200, then I would not buy that house if I'm living myself, right? But in France, I guess there's not many houses for rent. The interest rate when you bought it, I'm guessing it's not going to be very high when you bought
It was
it.
nothing.
It was not much, right? 1%, maybe 2%, 3%.
Mhm.
So this is all
Nothing.
plays into the role, like for the future views. Like, it's not so simple to just buy the place you want and then it's going to appreciate. It depends on the interest rate. Depends how much you can rent that place for, because you're looking to live there yourself. Yeah. If you are not, you can always rent a place in Warsaw right now. I would say it's much better to rent, because the prices are too much. Yeah. You buy a place for $150,000 and you can rent it for maybe 500. Yeah, and then you have to pay taxes on if you buy it. You have to, the guy who gets the money from you has to pay taxes, so it's not worth it. So when you guys bought the house in France, how much down payment? I guess 20-30%, something like this.
I don't remember anymore.
Okay, we put down more than 30%.
30%.
Because what was important, we played around with the borrowed amount and the duration.
Yeah.
And what seemed to be optimal for us is a bit of a stretched what is it? A short duration to stretch out our payment amounts, monthly installment, as much as we could, to lower the interest, to lower the portion of interest that we have to pay. So the plan was to pay off the house as soon as possible and then rent it out. Also, psychologically, it's a saving. So especially for people who are not good, we are good savers, but people who are not good savers, it's a kind of pressure. It's a commitment to put aside, because it's a saving money that you pay for the mortgage.
Yeah.
Most part of it, especially when interests are low, is going from your left pocket to your right pocket.
Right pocket,
Okay,
yeah.
you put it in the house, and also only a small portion of it is interest going to the bank.
And how much
So
was
that
the
was
interest rate? How much was the interest rate? I'm just curious.
below 1%.
Wow, this is amazing.
So that was the time when the interest rate was the lowest. So we said, if we don't buy a house now and we don't take advantage of the basically free money, then we never do it.
It was
We
2016.
It was too good not to use it.
Yeah. And by the way, just for people who don't know, Andras is actually, he's in banking and he does programming and other things. I don't remember exactly, but
Not programming, I'm managing project. I'm on the business side, not IT side, but yeah.
No, good. So you had the background on finance, and you already, and with your wife, well, I'm very happy to hear that. So you chose Warsaw, and then there were many choices, right? You didn't have to choose this place which you bought. In the end, it was a 3-bedroom, around 50 meters. Yeah.
No, it was 67.
67 meters.
Is it, Andras? Around 60, 65, 67, something like
Good question. I don't know how big is our apartment. It's like Adrian. Adrian never saw his second investment.
It's the same
At
for
least,
me.
at least I have seen it. We went there together, but I don't keep track of how big it is, because now I'm doing totally different things and it's running by itself.
Yes.
Itself called Sebastian, but I bought it as a passive investment, so I don't want to work on it. I don't want to look at it. I'm paying someone to collect the rent and make sure everything works. That was the original intention, because I don't have time to manage actively a passive investment.
Let's talk about the rent. Are you receiving that on time? Are you is that going well?
So we had some problems with the bank account, and that was on our part, because we are not linked to Warsaw or Poland in any way. It was difficult to open an account in Warsaw. So our solution was to open one in Hungary when we went back for the summer holidays, a euro-based account, and now we use that account, and now Sebastian can send the money monthly there. So now it's settled. It took a long time, but it was not his fault at all.
Okay.
So we had to find a solution to go around it, because even if Andras was in Warsaw in person, he tried to open an account. It turned out it didn't work. Then we tried to open, of course, remotely. There was always some issues, and then we found this solution. So now we are in a good place.
So this was something that was highlighted by Jason early on. Guys, pay attention, because it's difficult to open an account in Poland.
And it was.
You likely to come personally, and even if I was there, it was not possible with with the data, with the situation I had at that
It's
time.
not easy. It's not easy. You need registration,
I couldn't
and they made it harder.
It's not even a Polish thing now. It's globally
Yeah, I guess.
because
Yeah.
of the new regulations. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't
And
know if the situation gets better once you own a place. No, it doesn't. When you, because we
so
are European citizens.
It gets better a little bit because
you
So
have to
this
choose
question
up
came to my
names,
mind because
place.
if I want to refinance maybe the place or buy another one, or does it get easier
to open a bank account,
because I already have a flat?
To be honest, I'm not sure that having a rental contract would make it much easier. But that I'm pretty sure I can get that done for you next time you're here, and if you want that account opened.
there are banks who can do
There
it.
are specific banks, and you need to go to the right branches where they're friendly and it can be done. But that's actually something, let's say, I learned. So for all new clients now, I just charge a bit more and include the bank account opening service, because it's hard even for me to do it for someone. So for them to do it themselves will be even harder. Yeah.
It takes time.
Even in Hungary, Andras visited, I don't know how many banks, because we don't have income in Hungary either.
Yeah.
So
I only visited 3
one
branches.
thing I
Three
want to add
branches.
here, I wanted to add something about the banks for the viewers. Like, it is possible to open. Usually the banks in Poland, anyways, most of them now require a Polish registration number, like a personal number. They want you to have a registration address. So if you're like a rental contract, if you have that, that helps. And these are like the basic things that, of course, if you're coming for a day, you won't have these things, right? So it is a process. You can always get it done. We can always prepare the documents, but yeah, it's not easy to just walk in and especially for some passports. For example, I have friends from other countries which are not so favorable. I was born in Tehran, so if you're from Iran, doesn't matter what you do. It's just the hell of the process. Well, you're from Hungary, so it shouldn't be as much from that perspective.
It's EU, but I'm telling you that in Hungary, I was told by an international reputable bank that I cannot open bank account with a local Hungarian address. Because I don't have income in Hungary.
Yeah.
I was like, what the hell?
Oh yeah,
But
that's another thing.
also,
That's another thing I asked for. They asked for a umowa pracy, which is a contract. So you need to show income.
we have to put the phone on charge.
Okay.
Sorry, we are moving a bit.
Yeah.
But also, once you have the bank, you need a bank account which you can reach from abroad. So it has to have a very good online platform which works in Singapore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which was also a problem.
Yeah. I've had this problem too. Well, Wise is okay too, but they're starting to ask a lot of questions as well. The registration number. So yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe Bitcoin in the future.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what is the solution. Oh yeah, I want to get a bit more into, so because I remember when we were looking for a flat for you guys, we had the of course the Excel sheet with the numbers, with the pictures, with the media, and well, in the end you went for something which was a bit bigger, around, let's say, 60 meters, 3 bedrooms. Each bedroom is now rented individually, right, to a person.
Yeah.
So you're kind of optimizing. I remember Andras was saying, well, this location is good. It's big enough for a family in the future to buy. So you already had that French house in the mind, which a family would want to live there, right? So it's not a small flat which only investors would buy, right?
Yeah.
So you had different choices. We had even maybe a bit higher.
We wanted to keep it multi-purpose and not to close the option, not to specialize too much, even if it's not an optimized yield, it doesn't give us an optimized yield. It is not closing any doors.
But also because, as I mentioned, one of the reasons why we started to research Warsaw more is the policy that the government put in place to help families. So the reason the reasoning was, if the policy is helping families, that we need something which is good for families. Otherwise, it's just maybe
Yeah,
it won't be effective as much.
So when you invested, it was the program that was in place was sorry, it was 2023, right? Or 2020? It was 2023.
It
Yeah.
started in
Yeah. So that time, the policy was more in favor, the government loan support policy was more geared towards young people. So it pushed up the prices for smaller apartments, especially studio apartments. And that program has now ended. And the proposed new program, which hasn't been approved yet, is doing the opposite. So it's more so favoring young families.
Yeah.
So your price segment, your size segment also should benefit from that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we are ahead of
Ahead of
price
the curve.
increase.
Yeah.
That's
Exactly.
good news.
I
The
remember
program has
now.
not
I
passed yet.
remember. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, when you showed us the studio apartment,
Right.
Yeah.
it was already high.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah. Now I remember. You are right, Jason. Sorry, I mixed it up a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was already too high for us.
For us.
And but not just a little. There was a big difference in square meter.
Yes.
Square meter
Between
price.
a studio apartment and a bigger flat. So this is why we said that we will go for the bigger one.
When we did the research, I
It seemed
felt
a bit toppy already.
Yeah, I felt that there is a bit of a disconnect for the square meter price for the smaller places versus the bigger places, and I thought that in the long run it will balance out a little bit. It shouldn't remain that the small places are so much more expensive.
Especially
But,
with
okay,
interest rate
I'm not an expert. I'm not experienced. It was just a feeling.
Well, it's logical because you're investing at a time when the interest rate was like 9% in Poland. So that disproportionately affects larger apartments where people need to get loans for. Because in Poland, if the apartment is under 500,000, still a very high percentage of transactions, maybe more than half, is done through cash, so no loans. But in your segment, it was closer to, as I remember, about 800,000 zloty. And maybe the person who would buy it for themselves, not for rental, would need to slap another 50 to 100,000 into refreshing it. So then it's 900,000 zloty. It's a segment where majority of people here need to get a loan for. And the loan, when you invested, it was 9%, the interest rate, the average mortgage interest rate. So you effectively act as a liquidity provider in a market where there's a bit less liquidity for a higher price segment. And I believe in the next few years, well, the consensus is that the rate will drop, and that should make like both the market rate and the government subsidized rate, and that should help larger flats more.
Yeah. In the end, we did show you a few options. It was not only bigger flats, there was also even higher yield, smaller flats. But I remember that even buying two of those smaller ones, the square meter price would still be higher, even though the yield might be a bit higher. So you opted for something bigger and also quite central. Yeah, it was in Muranov, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
No, it was in the end. Andras brought in Praga Polnoc, so
Praga Polnoc.
Yeah, which
that
is
was the other one.
very close to the metro station and about 3-4 kilometers drive from the city center.
Yeah, we went there with Andras. We saw the apartment. It was actually very funny story that the guy was not answering, and then I called and just set up the meeting for the next day when Andras was in 2 days flying away. So that was actually we were trying to set up Muranov.
It was last minute find. It was not something that was on the table on the schedule. So you kept looking for options until the last minute.
Yeah, we just
and then finally it turned out just fine.
Yeah. It was kind of, we were trying to set up meetings for you because we're not agents, right? We're just trying to set up all the meetings, and this owner just happened to answer that time I called. He was sick. I told him, listen, we just want to see it. Tell your tenants we're going to see it for a few minutes. We walked in, we saw it, and Andras, we like the neighborhood, we like the building, and so you decided that this was the one. Good. Well, that's the story.
You
Should we end by?
so
I
that-
would like to end by. I'm curious how Andras and Anna see the exit of this investment. Like, when, what would be the signals you would like to see when you feel, okay, now it's the time to get out of this investment?
So there is a 5-year mark, because if I well remember, there is a difference in capital gain tax if you keep the flat for 5 years.
Right.
It's quite high if you sell. I think it's 25%. Do I remember well?
19%. 19%.
19.
19% on the gains, but if you buy another unit of the same or higher price within the European Union, there's ways to fully exempt you from this tax.
Okay, I didn't know that. I don't remember that. So the first step is a 5-year.
Yep.
After that, we don't really want to sell. If everything goes well, it seems like a good investment. We don't need the money. Yeah, that's a question mark. Right now, we don't need it, but who knows?
It's actually very simple. I think Anna said that 5-year it's a milestone. We are not in a rush to sell it. We don't plan to sell it. We plan for the long run. Now, as we said, we are running an investment portfolio with different assets in it, and what we're gonna look at, which asset is performing the best, and keep it diversified. So if we have a better opportunity cost that makes more money than the apartment in Warsaw, then we're gonna liquidate and reallocate the money for better performing investments. That's it.
Yeah, but
And maybe personal reasons also. Maybe you would move to a different country and you would want to buy that place or something.
We have enough to buy another place. Yeah.
and also,
That's
as you said, Adrian, a lot of places it's better to rent now. It's true in many countries now.
Yeah, what 2% gain on the capital when you buy a house, in my opinion, is not enough in many cases. Yeah, unless you're very sure that the capital appreciation will be much better. But I wouldn't count on it.
But yes, that was the plan. The liquid that we have now, we have been waiting for the move because we have been here in Singapore for 4 years. So I'm supposed to rotate, and we're supposed to move to another country either this year or next year. And if the market is favorable, we would buy. If not, we would keep renting, and our saving or liquid investment would remain as it is today. But yeah, that's the plan.
For example, in Singapore, it makes absolutely no sense to buy anything as a foreigner. I mean, even if you are from the US, Norway, and Switzerland, I think they don't have to pay the 60% tax that Singapore has for other foreigners. But even then, it's really high. The price is really high, and it just doesn't make sense to buy. So there are a lot of countries like that, and we really don't have any idea what the next destination is. So returning to the Warsaw apartment, we didn't. So when we bought it, when we started to research, it was money that we didn't need. It is money that we don't need. So even if we move, if it's necessary to buy, or if it makes sense to buy in the next country, we don't want to touch that money.
Okay.
When we made this decision, it was calculated in.
Okay. I don't know if sounds reasonable to me. Jason, do you have any?
For example, I told you we have some money in fixed deposit. I think it will go down, the interest rate, because inflation is not an issue anymore. A lot of the countries are lowering the central bank. How do you call it? The interest rate. So it won't stay 5% for much longer, I guess. So we can use that money to invest in another real estate somewhere, for example, which is much more liquid also.
Yeah. Do you guys have any questions for us? Maybe do you have anything you want to add? Something that you thought about?
Yeah, I would add some partial information as you contacted us to catch up.
Yes.
So we have been living our life, and we really had a good experience with you guys. It was great to work with you. Thank you for all your help.
Thank you too, Andras.
Thank you, guys.
My situation changed a little bit because I was really focused on building a career in the corporate world, and after 15 years, I came to the point when I'm not as motivated as before, and I decided to go back to the roots and see what I want to do, what my passion is. And I wanna with Anna, we maybe wanna launch a company which provides help and advice and even tools for individuals to manage finances, personal finance.
Mhm.
Real estate investment is a big part of that.
Mhm.
So it would be a company that covers most of the financial decisions and the concept that someone would need to efficiently manage money.
Mhm.
I had you in mind because our experience was so positive. I can see that you guys are really experienced, really experts, and give us some time and we come back with particulars, okay, how we would like to work with you and how we can work with you, and then you decide if you're interested and would it work. Do you think it's a good idea? Would it work on the long run?
I'm happy to
Right
consider
now,
ideas always. I'm happy to.
right now, I'm writing a book. I'm writing it to structure all my thoughts, and of course I will publish it because people can start to use it. But this book is basically a blueprint for
Mm.
what I want to do for my company that has to be built gradually, not everything at once.
Okay. Sounds like an ambitious plan to me, which I always love to hear. So
Just
maybe we
wait
could-
until you hear the details.
Sure. And there's something that I wanted to share. It can be useful for you guys and for other investors too. So it's an update on how taxes are working. So previously, investors who invest in Poland, they would pay the taxes based on what is charged for rent and capital gains in Poland. But there's something called the MLI convention. It's a OECD global convention. And with that, what's happened with a lot of countries is first you need to pay what you owe to the Polish state. And then in your home country, you calculate what that taxes would have been, assuming the rent or sale was in your country of tax residency. And if that percentage is higher, you have to pay the difference to your home country's tax authorities. So it's a bit like the bank account situation. It's not good news, but I don't think it will change anytime soon because the countries are working together to make sure that they can get the higher amount from you. So let's make a simple example. If you have one flat in Poland, normally you're paying 8.5% on your rental revenue. But let's say you are a tax resident of a country that taxes you 20% on your rental revenue. With this new convention, for a lot of people, what it means is first you pay that 8.5% in Poland, and then 20% minus 8.5% in your country of tax residency. So that's
So how do they check?
So they would find out through, I mean, the typical channels of finding out someone who's not paying taxes, right? Like you're receiving transfers on a fixed basis, that's not attributed to a particular source, or the country where you're investing in, let's say Poland, they know your home country tax residency, and they're sharing this information on some automatic system with your home country. So it's, I think it's worth to declare it. and in that there's ways to optimize it too, right? So for example, let's say it's a married couple and the husband is working and the wife is not working, so the wife has no taxable income. So you can put the rental contract on the wife's name, and maybe in your home country that your wife would fall under a lower tax bracket if it's a progressive taxation country. So I think it's worth to declare and just find the best way to pay it.
So is it's already live? So this kind of tax regulation, it's already the case?
So this convention was signed in 2017, but each country has their own way of enforcing it and their own deadline of starting to enforce it. So it depends. I don't know what is the case of Singapore. In some countries, they only started enforcing it from this calendar year. But it's starting to affect more people, and that's why I wanted to share this update. It's not in my view, if you talk to a local accountant, they would be able to give you an answer quite by looking at the double tax agreement quite easily. They can tell you.
Yeah, but actually the proceeds from the rental, they come to Hungary. So maybe Hungary will ask questions about the source of the funds.
So it depends on what they might, but when you open the Hungarian bank account, you probably declared a tax residency, right? They ask you, where are you tax resident of?
No, because I'm not tax resident in Hungary. It's
right.
Singapore, yes.
Right. So you.
Oh yes, you're right.
So
you're right. I
automated.
declared the Singapore as tax residency.
Yeah. So on some automated system that gets reported back to Singapore. But I just, it's just a general update, and I don't think it affects you so much because Singapore doesn't have such such aggressive taxes. So
No.
I do not think that I am required to pay taxes on real estate investment outside of Singapore, but we will check it.
Yeah, that's something I didn't know about before. I didn't think about that. Real estate is something that each country usually taxes. Even if you're living outside, usually they tax it on the. But with this new thing, it's like income now. It's like personal income. The difference you have to pay. I didn't know this. Thank you.
Yeah, they're trying to squeeze more out of us. I mean, that's a trend, unfortunately. They spend a lot of money during the COVID times, they being central banks and governments, and someone needs to pay the bill now. So
yeah.
Wow.
But it also means inflation and asset price increase. So as asset owners, it should not be too bad for us. Yeah.
Interesting. Well.
Okay, I don't want to make it too late because it's already 10 p.m. for Andras and Anna. Yeah.
Andras and Anna, we're in touch. If there's anything else you'd need on this side, we'd be happy to help. If you come to Warsaw, of course, my membership at the hotel is ending, but I'll take you to a nice Lebanese restaurant which I've started to go to.
You're not gonna renew it?
No, because now I just want some Middle Eastern food, man. I just grilled chicken, lamb. Sorry to all the vegetarians out there, but yeah.
Well, we are not planning to come to Warsaw anytime soon, but let's see what happens next year.
Yeah. Good. Well,
yeah, where we will be.
Same for you guys. If you come around Singapore, just shoot us a message.
I definitely will. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Bye.
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 So let's start the deep dive. Here we have the numbers and the analysis sheet that we showed to Andras and Anna Maria before they made their choice. So we're talking about Listopada 50 in Praga Północ, and I'm going to show you a few tabs, a few pictures, and the inspection report and the numbers. Yeah. So fasten your seatbelts, and this is going to be fast. I'm not going to go through this like very in detail. This is just an overview and to save your time and my time. So yeah, we're gonna go through everything very quickly. Here we go. This is the address, Listopada 50. In general, we have the fixed costs, which is like the insurance, the internet, admin rent, etc. We have the variable costs such as maintenance and property manager, and then we have the incomes. Yeah. The income is the cash flow from the tenants, and this flat was a 3-bedroom, so there will be 3 tenants, and in total they will be paying around 1,700 or more. Actually, now the prices have been going up. So let's just take this. This is the old assumption from a year ago. I'm pretty sure we can get higher rents. Anyways, so the net cash flow is around 2,800 zloty after all taxes and costs, as you can see here. Here we have price per square meter when we bought the flat, and then we have the notary fees. We have the fee that me and Jason charged to consult, and the renovation and finishings. And with everything, we are in 860,000 zloty, which gives us a total square meter price of 13,000. So today we're looking at a bit different prices. We have some comps to show you. So here we can quickly look at some comps. This one was archived, probably sold around 14,000 zloty per square meters, 13,800, and you can see which one would you rather buy? The one I just showed you or this one? Yeah. So this definitely needs a renovation. This is not going to get high. Full renovation for this one. Yeah. Colors, new furniture, definitely new full bathroom, tiles and appliances, and yeah, you can see it's cracked. So yeah, so this one 14,000 probably sold. It's also on the same street. Then we have this one, which also needs a renovation, as it seems. It's not as bad as the last one, but yeah. So they're putting some visualizations. Okay, so this one is around 15,000 per square meter. Then we have this one, 13,000 per square meter, also needs full renovation, in my opinion. So yeah, renovation costs are not low right now, and this 14,000 is without a renovation. So this last one, I'm guessing it was with some renovation. There's no pictures, but 15,000. So that's the. So if we go back to the numbers, if we take 15,000, they have already the Faketes, the great couple from Hungary, saving their money and investing wisely. They have already made around 111,000 in capital gains, and I wish them the best. And I hope if you guys are interested to invest in Warsaw, please reach out, come and meet us. I would be happy to meet you guys. And yeah, so here's the pictures of the flat. This is one of the bedrooms. This is the second one, the biggest one with a balcony. Then this is the same one with a balcony, just on the other view. We have, you can pause the video to look at these pictures. It's a quite nice kitchen, I would say. Nice standard. The bathroom is very nice, very modern. In terms of old buildings, this was quite, not a new renovation, but it was a few years before we bought the flat. Yeah, the owner was already renting to three different people, so it's been quite a while. Yeah, in general, quite a nice deal. And that's the floor plan again. So let's look at the metro station. We're talking about the Szwedzka metro station right here, and that means that right here, and the flat is around here somewhere, so I'll show you right now. This is Szwedzka. This is where the flat is, approximately right there. And from Szwedzka, you can take the metro straight to the center. So it's good for workers and families which want to get to the center around. Yeah, so there's also a tram. They can take the tram in 23 minutes. They can be right in Rondo NZ, or even 18 minutes to close to Palace Kultury. So that's almost, yeah, very short distance. The Galeria Wileńska is very close to it. So here we have the flat. Galeria Wileńska is, well, it has Carrefour and all the other things a family might want to shop around. And yeah, you can see it's quite a nice place. And people from Prague do not absolutely need to come over to the center to do their shopping, right? So that's quite good. And yeah, we got the Christmas theme, because Polish people love Christmas. That's for sure. Oh, that's beautiful. Okay. So we got Biedronka right next to it. And yeah, that basically takes 2 minutes of walking. We have schools. These are all schools around it. So for families, well, they can choose a plethora of options. And then we have the Warsaw East Station. If someone wants to actually go back and forth a lot between different cities, there's 18 minutes bus ride or 12 minutes car ride to the Warsaw East Station. And from here, you can go to Krakow, Lublin, or any other cities where the train is connected between the cities. We have the 24-hour apteka or pharmacy right here next to it. So it doesn't take long to walk there, around 10 minutes. So that's quite nice for the families. And we have hospitals. The main one is right here in this area, the main hospital. So if, yeah, families with children or older parents, yeah, the hospital is close. And anyways, they have more hospitals in Praga. So with a car, you can reach those quite quickly. So here's the flat. Yeah. So this is the building which is located at. You can see it has some green areas around it. And those are schools right there. I'm gonna mark it for you guys. School, yeah. School right there. And yeah, quite a nice area. You can see the skyline of Warsaw, the beauty. And yeah, we have on the other side, you can see the stadium. And you have some more middle schools, high schools on all of this area. And in general, Praga is quite green. You have a park here, which is not too far, and another park here. And the nicest one is right here, close to Saska Kępa, which is one of the most prestigious areas in Warsaw right now. Okay, so this is an inspection of the flat. We had our professional contact go and check the flat. That's the floor of the building. And then we have the floor plan. As you can see, we have a salon, which is turned into a bedroom. There's 2 toilets. One is with a shower, one is without, which is good for 3 different tenants or a family. So we have 3 bedrooms. One has a balcony, and then we have a shared common kitchen. Yeah. So if we are looking at the inspection, I'm not going to go through it in detail, but yeah. So here we can see the building needs some work. This was renovated inside. The door is, well, normal door. Here we have some pale, discolored outside the windows, but yeah, no one looks at that. And then the windows needed to be cleaned. Yeah, window sills need to be fixed. So we're going quite in detail when we are looking at flats, and we'll provide you, if you work with us, with such reports. And yeah, we'll go through the quick walkthrough to the flat. I have a video when Jason is going through it. And then, yeah, you can see like we're going very in detail into the electricals, if everything is okay from that side, if the tiles are in good condition. And let's see what else I can find here. You can see the floor has a kind of space between the wood there, which we didn't end up fixing, but you can do that because it doesn't really drive up the rent value a lot. And we're looking for dampness, water damage, and yeah, you can see there's some water damage on the left side here, right there. And then let's keep looking. So what else do we have? We're checking the pipes to see if everything is all good. We're checking the electric boxes to see if that's working properly. Here you can see some more dampness and water damage. And that's about it, if we're not going too much in detail in that report.